This year it's been record droughts in the Midwest. And as you can see from this bean plot here, they have not grown very much. I mean, we're off almost 40% with the rain. So we're going to come in now with our fall mix, which is Big Tine's Main Event, which is primarily a high tonnage forage brassica mix. But in order to plant this at the right seeding rate, we obviously have to calibrate our drill. I have Jonathan from KASCO here, so he is the master on all of this equipment. He comes out to the farm every year, helps with the installation. So Jonathan, walk me through the basic steps of calibrating this drill specifically for this seed.
Sure. So the great thing about this drill, very easy to calibrate. Most anyone can do this with just a basic scale and some type of either a cup or a bag to capture the seed. We're going to use this Big Tine Main Event, which we should look on the bag here. This bag is going to do half an acre at 4 pounds, so that's going to be an 8 pounds per acre is what the target rate that we're looking for. We need to take special care to make sure that we don't overseed. When it comes to brassicas, if you overseed them, they like to compete with each other and they don't perform well. So we
really want to stick to the poundage recommended.
Exactly, especially since we're drilling. If we were broadcasting, it would be a different situation. You know, broadcasting, you're only going to get about a third of the growth, you know, with the broadcasting compared to drilling it, because we're putting it in the ground where it needs to be at the right depth, and it's going to get the moisture it needs to go ahead and come up.
So we're going to have the proper seed to soil contact, right? Exactly. So we're going to have a better germination rate with the drill than we would broadcasting, so therefore we got to be a lot more fine on how we set up the drill.
Yes. We don't want to have, you know, we don't have any competition. We have enough competition with weeds in our food plot. We don't want our food plots competing with itself.
Sure.
You know.
So where do you start? If we need 8 pounds to the acre, where do I start on the adjustment?
So what I normally do, and it's going to sound a little funny, but it's very simple. We're going to go ahead and open this bag up. Okay. I'm going to pour just a very small amount in my hand. Okay. And I'm going to look at this seed. This is all coated, great coating on there. But look, we've got a little variation. What we're looking for is the largest seed in the mix. I would say this seed in particular is going to be the largest seed in this handful. So I'm going to take that seed. I'm going to come around here to the side. I'll show you. We've got a tape measure right on the drill, and this is a great place to start. If we place that seed directly on that tape measure, you know, we can measure it. We're going to be just
about 1/8 of an inch?
We're just a hair less than 1/4. We're going to be 3/16 at the seed, and we want to give it just a little bit of room so it will flow down through the meter and it's not going to hang up on it. So that's going to be our starting point.
That's pretty simple.
Very simple.
So instead of just looking at a chart, I actually can take the largest seed, put it on the tape measure, no matter if it's a pea or it's an oat or it's a brassica. Just take the biggest one in the bag. And obviously here we have radishes, rapeseed, kale, turnips, brassicas.
Yes.
So we have a lot of different variety in here.
We do. So we just take the largest one, we measure it on the tape measure, and then what we're going to do is we're going to open the seed box, which all of our seed boxes have this handle to keep them shut. Pop that loose. We're going to flip open our box. Now, if you had a standard type seed that's, let's just say not a blend, but we do have a standard seed chart with most regular seeds you're going to do in a food plot or in a turf type setting.
Because, I mean, this is a commercial piece of equipment. So a lot of people who are planting an alfalfa field, they would use a drill like this. Exactly. But here, because we have mixed seed with different sizes, we measure the largest seed.
And that's very important to do the calibration when you're doing mixes that have different types of seed, because there's not going to be, you know, a consistent rate on a chart because no one's ever done this before. This is a exclusive Big Tine mix.
Right.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the seeds, we'll take these and put them in the very end meter, okay, because we only need to calibrate 1 meter. We don't need to calibrate all of them.
Okay, so we just have to pour the seed into 1
meter. Okay.
1 meter, so we're going to pour it in the outside meter and just fill that up.
Just fill that meter. That's about all the seed that we really require to do a calibration. Now, once we've got the seed in the meter, we're completely full. We're going to go ahead and open the drill to the 3/16 that we viewed there on the tape measure.
So you just loosen the wing nut there.
We loosen the wing nut. That's what locks the meter, and that's very important.
So was this all the way closed when you started?
It was absolutely closed, and you always want to be closed when you start. If you start with it open, you know,
you can't close it because the seed now is in there.
Yes, if you have this meter open, seed's going to flow down into the meter, and then you're not going to be able to shut. So we always start with it completely closed.
So when you're starting off the calibration, it's better to start small and slowly bump it open, bump it open.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly
Gotcha.
right. So we're going to go ahead and bump this open.
And I'm looking at this outside edge here onto the tape measure.
Exactly right. And you want to be over the top when you look.
Yeah.
We're right at 3/16. And the most important thing is after we get it set to the 3/16, to make sure that we lock that wing nut down after we adjust the meter system. If not, it can vibrate and it'll actually open as you run the units just due to vibration and movement in the field. So we want to make sure that we get that locked so we're secure and then we're at a constant seating rate.
We can't over tighten that, can you? You
cannot.
can take a pair of channel locks and snug it up.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
A lot of times I actually use this little multi-tool and it has a pair of pliers right on there, and I use those to lock it down, especially if I'm doing a large field.
And probably a good thing to check while you're seeding, if you're bouncing a lot, what have you, just make sure it's tightened up. All right, 3/16 is the initial setting based off the size of the seed. We have seed only in one of your meters. We have 9 meters going across here. So what's the next step?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take the cup and we're gonna place this underneath the drop tube. There's a drop tube here. I'm gonna set it below the meter, and that seed will flow right out that meter, down the drop tube, into the cup, and we'll capture it. Then we can put it on the scale and weigh it and have a...
So in this system on your Eco drill, we actually have 3 seed boxes, and they all come through one drop tube, right? So here's the tube coming off the small seed box in the front, this is the middle, and this is the rear. And obviously that's if you plant different size seeds all at the same time and want them to meter perfectly.
Exactly right, exactly right.
So if I was setting this up with all the same size seed in the boxes, I would meter each one of these boxes individually.
Yes.
And then lock all of those down, and then as this cultipacker is turning, it's going to create the flow for all 3 boxes.
Yes, it will drive all 3 boxes. Okay, now we need to rotate that cultipacker 20 times, okay? And once we rotate it 20 times, that's going to be the correct amount of seed in the bin here. And then we can measure it on our scale, and we'll have our exact pounds per acre. You just have to multiply the weight of the seed that we're going to collect in grams times one number, and that gives you your exact pounds per acre. It's very simple.
That is simple. So 20 turns with the cultipacker.
Exactly.
All right, I can do the manual labor. Okay. Take a little grease here. Use this as my marker on my wheel, so when it comes around, I'll know.
We're at 4.9. Okay, so that means we're going to be just a little bit heavy. We're going to back that down just a pinch, and we're going to try it again. That's the thing, is when we're calibrating, if you're a little bit too heavy, we just back off our measurement a little bit. I was probably just a hair wide on that one, and see if we can get it fine-tuned a little closer.
Where do we want this to be?
Say we want that to be, we want 8 pounds an acre, so we're going to be just a hair less than 3 grams is what we're looking for, and we're 4.9, so we're just a little bit too much.
How do I know I want 3 grams?
Well, that's knowing that I need 8 pounds an acre,
Right.
and I know the multiplyer's 3.2, so I'm just doing a little bit of math in my head just to get us close. So I need to back it down just a little bit here on this next one.
So if I have 8 acres, yep, or 8 pounds to the acre.
Well, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the 4.9,
Yep.
which is what we have,
Yep.
times 3.2, just to give us a ballpark, and we're about 15 pounds an acre, so we're a little much.
Okay.
You know, we need to go
So
ahead and back
I
down.
always multiply times 3.2.
Yep, it's 3.2013 specifically, but until I get really close, I just do 3.2, and that gets your,
So
in
right
the ball
now,
game.
this seeding rate at 4.9 grams is 15, almost 16 pounds to the acre. So we now need to close that up.
Close it down.
Okay.
And I noticed that when we looked in here, it seemed like it was a little bit further open than 3/16. I just kind of noticed that.
So we need to snug it up.
We need to snug it down just a
and start
little
the
bit.
process over.
So we're going to go ahead and loosen the wing nut. And I don't have too much seed in there, so I'm going to be able to shut this down. Okay, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. We're gonna lock it back so it doesn't move on us. We don't want any movement. Push the seed back into the meter. That way it's full, and we know we're gonna get a good read. And you can
Okay to dump this back in?
Yep. No, you can definitely dump it back in there.
Right.
The only time I don't reuse seed for a calibration is if it's really fine and you notice there's some damage on the coating. If it starts damaging the coating as you're going through, you know, I like to go ahead and just use new seed. That way we don't have any variation. You know, with seeding, what a lot of people don't realize is even though you buy the seed from the same place, it's a seed, so it's always going to vary. You know, even if it's the same place, same batch, you know, there can be some variation because it's a, you know, it's a wild plant. I mean,
right. So year to year, based off of how the seed was grown and the coating that they put on it, don't just automatically go back to the setting you had. Make sure you double check it.
Exactly right.
Got it.
Exactly right.
Okay, 20 revolutions.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir. I think we're much closer. We have much less seed in here. And one thing we want to notice, we want to make sure that all the different sizes of seed are in there. We want to make sure we got the big seeds and the little seeds. Because in a mix, if you shut it down too much, it's going to limit the larger seeds from going down through. We want to make sure we get all of them.
Right.
You know, we don't
right.
want
We don't want to just be metering for the smaller seed.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So we'll set this down. We are at 2.2.
2.2
times 3.2013. 7.04.
We're right on the money right there.
We are very close. I like to be just a hair under than a hair over. So I'd rather be just, you know, if it's a pound, you know, less per acre, that's going to be fine with the drilling.
Sure, because as you're driving, you're going to get some vibration.
Yes. And actually, yes, it will definitely speed up a little bit as you're running compared to doing a calibration at the edge of the field, because we don't have any vibration. I mean, we're creating some by rolling that cultipacker, but not near the amount that we're creating by driving the tractor.
Our drill now is calibrated for Big Time's main event. The seeding rate is 8 pounds per acre. And the way that we adjust the KASCO Eco drill is we weigh the seed that comes out of one of the meters. And once we weigh this, it's in grams. We multiply it times 3.2. That gives us our pounds per acre. Every year, you got to make sure you go back and recalibrate your drill. Now, you have a starting point from your notebook the year before. This may be 1/8 of an inch, but based off the individual seed size from year to year and the coating sizes, it could change a little bit. And the other thing, on these mixes, even though these are all brassicas, there are different seed sizes. So you want to make sure that all the seeds are represented in your sample size and you're calibrating to the largest seed size. Sun's going down. I think we have some time to look at some velvet bucks because tomorrow's going to be a long day putting seed in the ground.